HARMER.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Now, unbelievably, I understand that this is the first conference that Yasar University has ever organized of this kind. And I think it would be a nice way to start by saying to the organizers of this conference a huge round of applause, because it's a great conference. Congratulations. And as someone said to me just now in the coffee break, Izmir, not so many conferences in Izmir. We often have to go to Istanbul. We often have to go to other places. This is just the beginning. What a wonderful event this is. We really should say thank you to Songul for her fantastic announcements. There she is. Congratulations. Congratulations. And to all her team back here. Any rate, and the other, one more group to thank, of course, is Pearson Education, because they've brought me here and they're my publishers, and thank you, Pearson Education. And this talk is connected with Pearson Education. I'll explain why. Although, don't panic, it's not a commercial talk, it's just, but it is connected. Let me explain why. About a year ago, they gave me this. Have you ever seen one of these? It's a thing called a flip cam. You see it? It's kind of really, look, I'll show you. It's a really small little camera, and it's got a little red button on it. And what that means is that if I go up to this guy, I promise I'll come back. It's horrible to have to look backwards, but if the thing is, if I go up to this guy, I can just point my little camera at him and press. See the red button? Can you see the red button? You press the red button and it starts recording. It's fantastic. It's a dedicated little video camera. And when you've finished recording, I know this is difficult at the back, but it's your fault for sitting at the back, okay? And then when you've finished, you just go like that. And out comes a little USB stick, and you plug it into your computer, and you don't have to do anything. It just downloads or uploads, or whichever loady way it is, onto your computer. The reason that Pearson gave me this, well, actually, I have to tell you something. They say they've lent it to me. But I prefer the word give, you know. Anyway, the reason they gave it to me is because Pearson has a site called eltcommunity.com, www.eltcommunity.com. And I would encourage you to visit it, because it's not a commercial site, it's just a site where people meet and talk about teaching. And you can ask a question and people will reply to you, or you can enter into other discussions. It's a very nice, very teacher-friendly site. And what Pearson said to me was, would you go and interview some teachers for us? And then we can put the films up on our site just as a nice thing to do. So I thought, well, that's a nice idea, interviewing teachers. What am I going to say? Because if you did a 20-minute interview, nobody watches a 20-minute interview. Wouldn't it be nice to have a little short interview with lots of teachers? And I couldn't think what to ask. And then I suddenly had an idea. How would it be if I walk up to lots of teachers with my little camera and I simply say to them, can you tell me about a successful lesson you've taught? Now, this is perfect serendipity that this talk follows your talk, because this is precisely this talk about what teachers believe and how that makes them act and why they act in the ways they do. But whereas you were looking at some of the problems that the introduction of a new curriculum has on certain areas, what I was looking at was simply going to any teacher I could find and saying, can you tell me about a successful lesson you've taught? Let me show you the kind of thing that happened when I did this. By the way, if you point a camera in your face and say, can you tell me about a successful lesson? Most teachers go, but everyone's had at least one successful lesson. And so after a bit they go, oh yeah, okay. And then you press the recording button. Now, just to explain what it is, let me introduce you to Amanda. Amanda is a teacher who works in the UK. She prepares students for something called IELTS. Do you know what IELTS is? Some of you, yes, some of you know. If you don't know what it is, it's like TOEFL. But the difference between IELTS is specifically designed for people who want to study in the UK or work in the National Health Service or workers. In other words, if you want to get any kind of, what do we call it, white-collar job or study job, you need to get a good score on IELTS. And so Amanda works in in a city, town, whatever it is, in the sort of middle of England called Boston. Not Boston over there, but Boston over there. Well, it's the other way around. But anyway, and she prepares students for IELTS. Now, just to give you a context for this, in IELTS, one of the things students have to do is to write an essay on a topic. But it's not enough just to give your opinion. You have to back up your opinion with little bits of evidence. So, inshallah, the sound's going to work. We'll see. But basically, what I do is people are walking around. This was at the TESOL conference, not this year, last year. I walk around and I literally say to people, excuse me, hold on, wait a minute. Can you tell me about it? And so here's Amanda describing an IELTS lesson in which she was preparing her students to write a composition about water. I hope. And the sound will come. Excuse me, sir. Okay, let's start again. You ready?
Because IELTS is quite dry and you can't really get people's attention just through opening the course book, I often use images and pictures and YouTube clips to kind of create an interest. And I used one recently where I had it was running dictation, and it was all different types of. It was facts about water, and the students had to go and collect the facts about water. They ran back to the classroom, wrote all the facts down, and then they checked all the vocabulary and their spelling. Then they watched a YouTube clip to see if their facts were correct, and they were amazed when this wonderful video came about with all of their facts on there. They're all perfect, and then we wrote an essay later on based on an IELTS text, and they used all of the examples of the water facts. So, yeah, because when in IELTS you have to always back up your writing with facts and examples, and this provided 20 of them to put into their writing, and it was wonderful, really wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Now there are two reasons I want to show you. I showed you that clip. The first is because of Amanda's smile. And before, I mean, I'll be honest, I think she's a very attractive woman, but that's not what I'm talking about. That's the smile of a happy teacher. And you don't see it that often. Because what a lot of teachers do is they come out of their class, they walk into the staff and say, I don't know what to do with that group. They're just the worst group I've ever had. They don't think of anything. They haven't got anything to say. Where's the coffee machine? I need a coffee. And that's kind of what teachers do. We complain. We're really, really expert complainers. We are the #1 top complainers in the world. And there's nothing wrong with complaining. If you've just had a difficult class, it's a really good idea to go vroom and let it all out. But it's not very constructive. And if this were a different talk, we'd talk about what to do with that feeling. But I'm interested in the other thing, which we forget to do, which is to give students an opportunity to walk out of the staff room and say, I've just taught a really good class and I'm feeling great and it's fantastic. And wow, I'm a good teacher. Because when people talk about success, when teachers talk about success, they look like that. They smile. Teachers smile. But most of the time, a lot of the time in teachers' conferences, we talk about the problems of teaching. And we do need to do that because there are some. But what we need to talk about sometimes is the success of teaching, the fact that it's not always a disaster. Sometimes it goes really well. And if I had my way, I'd video people all through this university and any other universities and schools and primary schools in here in Izmir who are represented and get students to just describe happy lessons and then put them up on the website, put them on the staff room, put them on CDs, share so that everyone got this vision of what it was like to be a happy teacher. Because sometimes we forget about what it's like to be a happy teacher because we worry about stuff, which is good. Anyway, that's one reason why I like these. Second reason, what did Amanda do then? Remind me what Amanda did. You have to shout really loudly. It was about water. So what did the students do about water? Facts. What about facts? What did they do with the facts? They wrote an essay. Yeah, what did they do before they wrote an essay? They list what they did. Well, it's not so much listing the facts. What did they do with the facts? They went and they reported them. Did you say or what? They supported the facts. What did they do with the facts at the beginning? What did they do? They did some research. Exactly, they did some research. They went looking for facts about water. So they went looking for facts about water. Then what did she do? What did she do? They've all collected some facts about water. What did she do then? She showed them a YouTube clip about water, and the students were amazed and happy because the facts that they'd researched turned up in the YouTube clip. So here's a question. What do you think Amanda believes? And I know Amanda well, but I have purposely not asked her to tell me. I'll explain why. What do you think Amanda believes about the best way to get students to listen or watch? What does she believe? What does she think about language learning? The best way to get students to listen or watch is? To find a topic that interests them or? To get them involved? How? How does she get them involved? She triggering, thank you very much, if you want to get technical about it, by triggering their schemata. What's she doing? What does she think is the best way to watch or listen to something if you're a student? Motivation is absolutely important. How do you motivate students to watch and listen to something? This is a difficult room to do group work in, and I can't. And I was hoping it would have a central aisle. Anyway, but it doesn't. Listen, that's not the point. I'm sure you're right. She seems to believe that one of the best ways of getting students to listen to something or watch something is to get them all switched on first, to trigger their schemata, to get them all worked up, to get them to go look for information. So they look for information, they find it, and then they watch something, and they bring to their watching. Thank you. It's exactly about ownership. It's about me interacting with the video. It's not just about the video, 5 comprehension questions. She seems to believe, based on this, that was 1.5 minutes. But based on that 1.5 minutes, what we think she believes is that one way of getting students to get real meat out of a piece of video is to get the students to do all the work first. Now, as it happens, I couldn't agree more with her. I don't have any complaint with what she said. But what fascinates me is that in the video clips we're going to watch, most of which are about 1.5 minutes, you can sort of work out what the teacher who's speaking believes about language learning. Because if I say to you, tell me about a successful lesson you've taught, and you say, we did this and we did that, there must be an underlying belief. Sometimes, of course, teachers say, well, we played a game. Phew. But even that, you played a game and it was fun. So what do you actually believe about games? You must believe something, otherwise you wouldn't do it. So what these video clips show us is something about what teachers believe. So this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. First of all, when you watch the clips I'm going to show you, and you do need a pen and paper and so on, or something, you need to, first of all, write down the name of the teacher you see.